Dodger Stadium, we're breaking the seal on a 4-game series between the Cubs and the Dodgers. And, of course, a lot of folks in these parts looking back to last year with the Dodgers wiping out the Cubs in postseason, and now looking ahead at the same time. When the Dodgers take the field in a couple of minutes, they know that Cincinnati, on a 10th-inning home run by Drew Boggs, a kid who was just called up, he had struck out all 3 at-bats, and then, don't you know, came up and hit a home run against Bob Howery to beat the Giants 2-1. Colorado, however, continues to move along nicely. They've won 4 straight, 8 of 11, and they defeated the Nationals 4-1. So the pressure remains on the Dodgers, as Colorado, for the moment, just 3 games back. It'll either go back to 3.5 or fall to 2.5, depending upon what the home club does tonight. So the Dodgers take the field now, and we'll take a look at the names on Lou Piniella's card. The shortstop, Ryan Theriot, followed by Milton Bradley in right field and Derek Lee at first. Aramis Ramirez at third base. Kosuke Fukudome in center field. Alfonso Soriano in left. Jeff Baker at second base. Coy Hill behind the plate. Tom Gorsolani on the mound. For the Dodgers on the mound tonight, it'll be Jeff Weaver. 5 wins, 4 losses. He is 2-0 lifetime against the Cubs. It's been a while, couple of years since he pitched against them. And for Weaver, he has made 6 starts this year, and he's done very well. 2-1 with a fine ERA of 3. So we will see now about Jeff Weaver going up against the Chicago Cubs. The Dodgers went to Wrigley Field earlier this year and split 4. Last year, the Cubs beat the Dodgers 5 out of 7. However, Lou Piniella comes in with a ball club that is struggling. They're 6 games out in second place behind a very good club, the St. Louis Cardinals, and they've lost 7 of the last 10. In fact, they had to win last night to avoid a sweep in San Diego. They had lost 6 straight prior to that. For the Cubs, looking for a ray of sunshine, their big man, Carlos Zambrano, who's been out with a bad back, and he pitched tonight in Peoria for the A club. And interestingly enough, Carlos Zambrano was caught by Michael Brenly, the son of Bob Brenly, former big league manager, who is now a broadcaster for the Cubs. And Zambrano did well, went 5 innings and did not allow a run. One of the things Piniella was talking about was Zambrano, who is out with the bad back. And Zambrano was quoted as saying, "It's my own fault. I was lazy." And Piniella took that under advisement, saying that takes a lot of guts to say that, but obviously that's what happened. So here come the Cubs. And as Lou Piniella looks on, he has to be careful in Los Angeles. You know what happened to Lou in San Diego? He was walking in the Gaslight area right near the hotel, talking on his cell phone to his son, and the police pulled him over for jaywalking. They were going to give him a ticket, then they gave him a warning, and then he went about his business. The general manager, Ken Williams, actually got a jaywalking ticket in Seattle. So the heat's on the Cubs in every direction. Ryan Theriot will start it off. The shortstop out of LSU. He's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And the right-hand hitter checks in, and Weaver is set. Jeff ready and delivers. Hard ground ball to Casey Blake, and he gobbles it up and throws him out. So before the anthem is through rattling around in the mountains, we have an out. Ramirez, Kemp, and Ethier in the outfield. Blake, Furcall, Hudson, and Loney on the infield. And the battery of Martin and Weaver. So 1 away here in the first inning. And Milton Bradley coming up. Milton, as you know, a switch hitter. Not doing much, batting left-handed, hitting only .231, hitting .330 right-handed, and of course he'll hit left-handed against Weaver. So Jeff looks in to get a sign. Bradley is hitting .300 against Weaver in the past, and Jeff takes a pitch low, ball 1, 1-0. Bradley, of course, played with the Dodgers. That's not giving you any news. Milton, a Los Angeles boy, actually born in Harbor City and lives in Long Beach. Now the 1-0 pitch on the way to Bradley, and Milton swings and a high fly ball into deep right center. Back to the track was Kemp on the wall to make the catch. So Milton Bradley was jogging into second base, thought he might have hit it out, but Kemp went right to the pads and puts it away. So Bradley a long out, 2 down in the first inning, and Derek Lee coming up. Derek Lee, certainly a big man in the offensive plans for the Cubs. Comes in hitting .294, 24 home runs, 83 runs batted in. Homered in San Diego the other night. And Weaver ready, delivers fastball in for a strike to Derek, and the count 0-1. Derek Lee, in one way, has some ties to the Dodgers. Familial ties, I guess you would say. The strike one pitch on the way to Derek is taken on the inside corner, strike two. Derek's father, Leron, was a first-round pick of the Cardinals. His uncle Leon was a major leaguer, and his uncle Leron spent 21 years playing ball, including time with the Dodgers. Derek Lee fouls it away. And another thing for the big boy out of Sacramento, he is 6'5", 245. Won the National League batting title back in 2005 when he hit .335. Only the 7th Cub to win a title, and the first since Bill Buckner. So Lee waiting, big right-hand batter. Weaver ready and deals, and it is swung on, another long fly ball. Manny going to the track and makes the catch for the out. So Weaver gives up a couple of long outs and a hard ground ball to third, but it's 1-2-3, and at the end of half an inning, Cubs nothing, Dodgers coming up. Long fly balls and a hard hopper to third. Now here come the Dodgers against the Cubs. For call, Kemp and Evier, Ramirez, Blake and Hudson, Loney, Martin and Weaver. Going up against a left-hander, Tom Gorsolani, who is an Illinois boy. He was born in Evergreen Park, but he has spent the last few years in Pittsburgh. He was a second-round pick by the Bucks about 6 years ago. Went to school at the University of Kansas. He's big enough. He's 6'2", 220, and 27 years old. Tom Gorsolani 1-0 against the Dodgers. He beat him 2 years ago when he was pitching for the Pirates. He has a record of 5-2, working on Rafael Furcal, hitting right-handed, and he takes a strike, 0-1. Rafael's average has dipped a little. It's under 260. He's now hitting 259. 6 home runs, 34 runs batted in. Gorsolani ready, and the strike one pitch, fastball low. Rafael running up as if to bunt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dodgers have not been playing well, as you know, and coming off a tough one-run loss to the Cardinals last night. The 1-1 pitch on the way for a call, hits a line drive base hit to right field. So Raphael opens up the ball game with a single, and the batter now will be Matt Kemp. The Dodgers, since the All-Star break, are 3 games under 500. They're still doing pretty well against left-hand starters. Joe's club 19-13. But actually, they come into this game having lost 5 out of 7 and 8 of the last 12. So Matt Kemp trying to get the Dodgers off on the right foot now with Furcal at first. Matt batting .309 with 17 home runs, 76 runs batted in. Furcal with 6 stolen bases, but he's been caught 5 times. And Gorzelani sets at the belt, staring at Furcal. Now to the plate, and a little slider down and in, or a breaking ball at least. 1 ball and no strikes. So Kemp backs out for a moment. Played last night, even though he was fighting the flu symptoms. Furcal and Kemp looking over at Larry Boa. You don't usually put a hit and run play on with a hitter like Kemp. He has struck out 108 times. Gorzelani goes to first, and Furcal back on the bag. For Gorzelani, basically fastball. He has a slurvy slider, half curve, half slider, I guess. He also throws a splitter and a good changeup. So Tom said another look at Furcal. And the 1-0 pitch on the way. Gorzelani very deliberate. Now the left-hander's fastball shoots in there for a strike, and a 1 ball, 1 strike count. Last year, right-handers hit .299 against him, including 19 home runs. Left-handers hit .261. So he started this year with a record of 22-25, but he is 5-2 now as a starter. Back with a pitch swung on and missed on a good changeup, and the count 1-2. He is 2-1 with the Cubs, and Tom was 3-1 with the Pirates. So Gorzelani looks down the barrel to get a sign. Now set, another look over at Furcal, and time at the plate requested by Coy Hill, the Chicago catcher. Cubs sent a couple of minor leaguers and Kevin Hart to Pittsburgh, and they acquired Gorzelani and John Graybo. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way to Matt Kemp. Gorzelani ready, left-handed fastball is low, and a 2 ball, 2 strike count. Matt will be followed by Andre Ethier and then Manny Ramirez. You know, the other night when the Dodgers were playing the Cardinals, we were saying what a great rivalry between the two teams. The Cardinals have beaten the Dodgers 995 and the Dodgers 994. This rivalry is even better. Here comes Gorzelani's pitch, pulled foul outside of third. That was a tough pitch to pull. It was up and outside. It might even have been ball 3, but it was a changeup. And Matt is so strong, he reached out and pulled it foul. Same kind of a pitch, however, Kemp would learn eventually to hit the right field. Anyway, in talking about the Cubs and Dodger rivalry, it's really remarkable. Over 2,000 meetings between the two teams. And we'll tell you in a moment. The throw to first gets away, and Furcal will go to second on an errant throw by Tom Gorzelani. So Gorzelani trying to pick up Furcal and commits the error. And just like that, the Dodgers have a runner in scoring position and nobody out. So while they talk in the mound, we can tell you about the rivalry. Would you believe this? After all these years, the Dodgers have beaten the Cubs 1,014 times. And the Cubs have beaten the Dodgers 1,014 times. That's unbelievable, isn't it? Right down the middle. And should be a lot of fun with Joe Torre and Lou Piniella trying to outthink each other. With Furcal at second, nobody out, and a 2-2 pitch to Matt Kemp. Gorsolani, very slow, very deliberate, and promptly gets one away, and Kemp takes it to right field for a base hit. So we were talking about the fact he tried to pull a change that was up and away, and that he would learn to hit it to right field, and he's a quick learner because he got another change up and away, and this time he went with it, and a single to right. So the Dodgers are certainly in business. First and third, nobody out, with Ethier, Ramirez, and Blake trying to push the Cubs into the river. Dodgers, of course, shocked the baseball world last year when they swept a Cub team in the postseason, a Cub team that had won 97 games, and everybody in Chicago thought would at least be in the World Series. Andre Ethier holds up on a pitch down and away, ball one, 1-0. Looking at Gorsolani and the Dodgers, Ethier is 1 for 3. Furcal is 4 for 7. Manny Ramirez has never faced him. Now the 1-0 pitch on the way. Ethier looks at a strike. 1-1 the count. Tomorrow night, Randy Wells and Randy Wolf. Then Saturday's game, Ted Lilly and knuckleballer Charlie Hager. And then Sunday, Ryan Dempster and Chad Billingsley. Breaking ball rolls slowly to second base for one, and that's all. A great slide by Matt Kemp takes the legs right out from under Theriot to take any chance of a double play away. Furcal scores, and the Dodgers lead 1-0. So Kemp has a lot to do with it. Good, hard, legitimate slide, hooking the right leg of Theriot and flattening him. Ethier, meanwhile, says thank you very much. He picks up a gift run batted in. So 1-0 Dodgers in the first inning, 1 out, and Manny Ramirez and the young fella from LSU over there biting the bullet at shortstop. The Ryan got upended big time. 1-0 Dodgers in the first inning. Manny Ramirez hitting .305, but it's been a pretty quiet time for Manny of late. So Ramirez checking in, 1 for his last 10 at-bats. Gorsolani works a fastball inside, ball 1, 1-0. Manny, over the last 7 games, hitting under 200. Manny back up and waiting, 1-0 the count. Gorsolani, another look over at Ethier. Left-hander ready, delivers, fastball lined into left field, base hit. The Tom Gorsolani has faced 4 batters. He has given up 3 hits and a run, and he's committed an error. And the batter is Casey Blake. So Gorsolani in a lot of trouble, and Casey Blake climbing in. Blake has never faced him. Somewhat restless Lou Piniella talking to his second base combination to pinch up the middle a little bit. So Theriot moves to his left, Baker moves to his right, and they open up holes on both sides of the infield. 1 out, 1-0 Dodgers, 2 on, and Gorsolani's pitch, breaking ball in for a strike, and the count 0-1. So Furcal single to right field. Kemp batting right-handed, of course, single to right field on a changeup. Ethier hit into a force play. Kemp the hard slide to break up the double play, and Ramirez a single to left. So the strike one pitch coming up. Gorsolani's fastball is low and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. In looking at Tom's work, his ERA is over 5. His strikeout to walk ratio is pretty good, almost 3-1, but not as a Cub. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Out of a stretch goes Gorsolani, checks the runners again. Now the 1-1 pitch on the way, fastball low, ball 2. One of the things Lou Piniella was talking about, the fact that the Cubs are struggling against the Western Division. They are 3-10 on the road against Western Division teams. And when you ask Lou why, his answer, one of them is, the ballparks are so much bigger than Wrigley Field. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swung on, line drive, short hop, dropped, so they're going to get one. Throw to first, not in time. That line drive for a split second looked like a double play, but Theriot couldn't hold on to it and turned it into a force play. So Ethier has advanced to third. Sinking line drive. Might have been a double play if Theriot had handled it cleanly. Blake beat the throw to first easily. So a runner at third with Orlando Hudson coming up. Orlando batting .295, turning around to hit right-handed. He's hitting .321 from this side of the plate. 1 run, 3 hits for the Dodgers, nothing across for the Cubs in the bottom of the first inning. Dodgers and Cubs split 4 at Wrigley Field. But when you think about it, Piniella makes a pretty good point as far as the fact that National League Western ballparks are much bigger in comparison to Wrigley. Gorsolani ready, and the left-handed delivers. Breaking ball, check swing, no swing, says Chad Fairchild. 1 ball and no strikes. Well, Dodger Stadium is certainly bigger. Colorado, without a doubt, you could put Wrigley Field inside Colorado. 1-0 the count to Orlando Hudson. Gorsolani comes back and works it high and away. Ball 2, 2-0. Certainly San Diego has a big ballpark. Arizona is a very big ballpark. And in looking at the Cubs on the road in the West, you can see it makes a lot of sense. Breaking ball strike. They have lost 5 out of 6 in San Diego. They've lost 3 out of 4 in Colorado, and they've lost 2 of the 3 they played in Arizona. So the Cubs are not happy in the West. Now the 2-1 pitch coming up to Orlando Hudson. Hitting right-handed, he takes low. Ball 3, 3-1. So Tom Gorsolani is struggling. The left-hand hitter James Loney waiting on deck. Dodgers, of course, have Furcal and Hudson who switch. Ethier and Loney who hit left. 2 down. First and third for the Dodgers, and they lead 1-0 first inning. Gorsolani's 3-1 pitch is swung on, a roller to third, fair ball, long throw, and a stretch just in time at first by Derek Lee. So the Dodgers get 3 hits, cash in 1 run. Aramis Ramirez making that throw, and took a little time to do it. At the end of it, picked up 3 hits in the first inning, and now to the second inning. Aramis Ramirez Kosuke Fukudome, and then Alfonso Soriano. So Jeb Weaver on the grass behind the mound. Aramis Ramirez from the Dominican Republic, but it's not the usual story. You know, you talk about kids coming from the Dominican, so poor, using milk cartons for gloves and fruit for a ball and a branch of a tree as a bat, but not with Ramirez. Aramis, right-hand bat awaiting, takes off the plate, ball one. His father was a doctor and his mom an accountant, and he grew up with a basketball in his hands. He had the idea one day he was going to be Michael Jordan. Now the 1-0 pitch on the way. Ramirez swings and lifts it back at second base for a call. Backs out on the grass, moves to his left, and makes the catch for the out. So Aramis pops up, one away. Kosuke Fukudome coming up. 1-0 Dodgers, second inning. Kosuke, left-hand batter from a small town in Japan. The little town that he's from is at the base of a volcano that erupts with rather disturbing frequency. They had a big explosion there last year. Fukudome, left-hand hitter, waiting, backs off and takes ball one. A lot of people say he has a combination hitting style of Matsui and Ichiro. He is prone to run up in the box as Ichiro does. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Fukudome backs off and it's low and inside, ball two. 2-0. Kosuke Fukudome, 9 years with the Chunichi Dragons, won 2 batting titles and 4 Gold Gloves. Quite an all-around player. Interesting, he is working with Lou Piniella. Fukudome takes a strike and they count 2-1 because Fukudome said that perhaps the most famous thing about the Chunichi Dragons was the manager. He had a nickname, Burning Hat. And the manager would get so angry at some of the players, he occasionally punched them in the face. The pitch is strike, and the count 2-2 to Fukudome. But they also see a little bit of Tony Oliva. And of course, Tony Oliva was a 3-time batting champ in the American League and an 8-time All-Star. 2-2. 1-0 Dodgers, second inning. Fukudome starts to pull the trigger, holds up, backs away, and takes ball 3. He's hitting .271, 10 home runs, 44 runs batted in. He was a little late for spring training because he played with the World Baseball Classic for Japan. Weaver ready, 3-2 pitch is swung on and a drive to right, and looking up at it is Andre Ethier. It's in the pavilion. Home run number 11 for Kosuke Fukudome, and the Cubs have tied it up 1-1. Fukudome had 10 home runs last year, so now he has 11, and with one swing gets the Cubs even. No doubt about it. He got all of it. The pitch was on the inside part of the plate and down. And like almost every left-hand hitter, that's a wheelhouse. They go after those all the time. And now Alfonso Soriano as Fukudome gets 5s down in the Cub dugout. Soriano, right-hand hitter, swings, doesn't get it. And the count 0-1. Talking about Japan, you may remember the battle that went on with Soriano when he was in the Japanese league. Strike one pitch on the way. Weaver comes back, and that swung on and popped up. Going out on the grass, Orlando Hudson to make the catch. Hideo Nomo, remember, retired from his Japanese team and then became an international free agent, got away with it. Soriano did the same thing, and boy, after a bidding war, the Yankees won, signed him for over $3 million, but that was just the beginning of what's happened to him. Soriano signed an 8-year, $136 million contract with the Cubs. That was in November of '06. So 2 down, and Jeff Baker, right-hand batter at the plate. Weaver's fastball in for a strike, and the count 0-1. You may remember Jeff Baker used to be with the Rockies, went to school at Clemson. No balls and 1 strike. Weaver looks in. We have a 1-1 tie. Now the strike 1 pitch on the way Baker takes off the plate. 2 years ago, Baker was hit by Jason Marquise, who is now pitching and pitching exceptionally well for Colorado. But anyway, he was hit in the batting helmet and face. 1-1 pitch on the way. Baker promptly strokes it over Loney's head and down the right field line. Ethier over to get it. Baker hesitated, keeps on going, and he's in there with a belly whopper with a double. So Jeff Baker doubles inside the right field line, and the batter now will be Coy Hill. So for Weaver, he gave up 2 long fly ball outs in the first inning. Then he gives up the home run to Fukudome. Then he gives up the double to Baker here. So Jeff's a little shaky in the 1-1 tie. And Coy Hill, formerly Dodger property, check it in. 2 outs, second inning. And they are going to take the bat out of Hill's hand, walk him intentionally. And Tom Gorsolani, looking for a helmet, will be coming up in a minute. Coy Hill hitting just .225 with 2 home runs, 16 runs batted in. He was a 4th round pick by the Dodgers 9 years ago, and actually came up here for 3 games back in 2003. That name Coy, by the way, is spelled Koyie, and his mom liked the name Coy, but since the father's name is Kennard with a K, his oldest sister is Cassie with a K, and then there's Coy, always says, and my mom bought a couple of vowels and added the IE. So anyway, the intentional walk. Cubs are certainly in business, and Gorsolani hits as he pitches left-handed. He is 2 for 7, and he has 2 runs batted in. So Gorsolani waiting. Weaver checks the runners. Jeff to the plate. Fastball grounded back at first. Backhanded by Loney, and he takes it to the bag. 1 run, 2 hits and a walk, 2 left. And at the end of an inning and a half, thanks to Kosuke Fukudome, we have a 1-1 tie. featuring a cheeseburger, a taco, small fries, and a small drink for just $2.99. And by Hankook Tires. Tame the road with Hankook Tires. 1-1 tie, bottom of the second inning. James Loney, Russell Martin, and Jeb Weaver. By the way, Hiroki Kuroda played catch today for the first time since being struck on the head by that line drive. He made about 60 tosses in the outfield from about 60 feet. That's his first baseball activity. And of course, Stan Conti knows very well about that wonderful catcher the Giants had, who also played for the Cardinals, Mike Matheny, who was a Gold Glove catcher and had so many concussions he had to retire. The pitch to Loney in for a strike, 0-1. How did Kuroda do? Pretty well. He did have a little bit of a headache. They have to get him through that. Strike one pitch to Loney is a little foul off third, and it's going to drop untouched. Aramis Ramirez in pursuit, but no play. 0-2 the count. One of the things with Kuroda, he wanted to sit in the dugout, and Stan Conti said, okay, if you want to sit in the dugout, you're going to wear a helmet. And Kuroda said, no, I'm not going to wear a helmet and sit in the dugout. So they compromised, and he might be in the bullpen. Loney takes a hook off the plate. One of the things they're careful about after that concussion is not to stimulate the brain. That's why they've been sending Kuroda home, to be very quiet and take it easy. The 1-2 pitch on the way. Fastball got him, and Loney is caught looking. Strikeout number 1 for Tom Gorsolani. And you can imagine, if you're not supposed to stimulate the brain and you come out to the ballpark, 50,000 cheering people, all kinds of exciting plays on the field, that's a lot of brain stimulation. Well, if he is here, and if he is down there in the bullpen, we're happy. That's another step in progress in the right direction. Russell Martin hitting .261, 3 home runs, 34 runs batted in, and he takes high and away. Ball 1, 1-0. One last thought about Hiroki. He is eligible to come off the disabled list August 31st. Where would we be? We'd be here playing Arizona. 2-0 the count to Martin. Dodgers scored a run in the first inning on 3 singles. Fukudome homered to tie it up for the Cubs in the second. Martin takes way outside. Ball 3, 3-0. 1-1 in the second of game 1 of a 4-game series with the Cubs. Now the 3-0 pitch is a fastball down the pipe, 3-1. Gorsolani overall strikeout to walk ratio, as we mentioned, almost 3-1. Left-hander's 3-1 pitch on the way, and that's way outside. Ball 4. So Martin's the runner. Weaver will be coming up. You know, you can get everything you want on your next trip to Dodger Stadium. 3 tickets, Dodger dogs, sodas, t-shirts, hats, a beach bag full of souvenirs, peanuts, and parking, all starting at $99. Visit Dodgers.com/specials or call 866-DODGERS and get more compliments of the Dodgers and JetBlue. Weaver has 1 sacrifice this year. Chances would appear to be pretty good. He try to get one down. He shows bunt, tries to, fouls it away, and the count 0-1. So Tom Gorsolani and Jeff Weaver going head to head in the game and right now. On deck, Rafael Furcal. Gorsolani set just above the belt. Weaver around to bunt, gets it down nicely. The play juggle a moment, but then the throw to first in time. So Weaver sacrificed Martin to second base, and that'll bring up Rafael Furcal. So Jeff did his job and moved his man along. 2 out, bottom of the second inning, and a 1-1 tie. Gorsolani standing off the mound for the moment. The Weaver gets fives in the Dodger dugout, and now Rafael Furcal single to right field in the first inning. Martin at second, 2 outs, second inning in a 1-1 tie. Gorsolani will look back at second. Now the left-hander ready and works the plate with a breaking ball strike. It's a curveball in the count, 0-1. So we've seen his fastball, his straight change, and his curve. No balls and 1 strike. Rafael singled sharply to right field and came around to score in the first inning. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Gorsolani comes back with a breaking ball in the dirt, pushed out in front of the plate nicely by Coy Hill, and a 1-ball 1-strike count. Again, the pitching for the series: Wells and Wolf tomorrow night, Lilly and Hager Saturday afternoon, Dempster and Billingsley Sunday, and then the Dodgers head for Colorado. Rockies won today, 4-1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gorsolani's pitch is low and inside at the feet. 2-1 the count. Gorsolani made 23 pitches in the first inning, so he's struggling a bit. The Cubs are 5 games back in the wild card. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Gorsolani delivers, fastball low and away, ball 3. Waiting on deck, Matt Kemp. For the Cubs, the last 13 games have really hurt, and it shows just during that period why they are where they are. Gorsolani out of a stretch. Here's the 3-1 pitch to Rafael Furcal. Left-hander, very deliberate. Back he comes. Fastball foul to the screen. Take the last 13 games. The Cubs have lost 9 of the 13. Take the Cardinals. Over that same stretch, the Cardinals have won 10 of 13. So the Cubs, who are playing well for a while, hit the skids. Derek Lee and company find themselves 5 games back in the wild card, 6 games back, and of course time is running out. This is game number 119. Cubs have 24 games remaining at Wrigley, and they've done well there. They are 13 games above 500. Interesting, 23 of the 24 at Wrigley are against teams with a record below 500, so they could get rich in a hurry. 3-2 the count to Rafael Furcal. And here comes Gorsolani, and a breaking ball is whacked up the middle. Base hit. Here comes Martin, and the Dodgers take a 2-1 lead. And Rafael Furcal got that slider and singled sharply to center. So Furcal, who scored the first one, knocks in the other, and the Dodgers lead 2-1. Now Martin gets the 5s, and the batter will be Matt Kemp. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers, 1 run, 2 hits for the Cubs. Bottom of the second inning. As we told you a moment ago, the Cubs on the road against the Western Division, they've lost 10 of 13. Cubs have not done a lot of hitting of late either. They're hitting .259 against left-hand pitching, .253 against right-hand pitching. So tough scoring, and they're behind 2-1 now as Matt Kemp checks in. Gorsolani looks at Furcal, comes away with a pitch, ball 1. Gorsolani made a change-up high and away, and Kemp tried to pull it and just dribbled it outside at third. And Gorsolani came with another change-up high and away, and this time Kemp learned to do what he should do with that pitch. He singled to right. The 1-0 pitch is fouled away. 1-1. Matt hitting .310, 17 home runs, 76 runs batted in. He was 0 for 4 last night. Wasn't feeling 100%, but it was his bobblehead night, and he wasn't going to miss it. It was quite a night. 54,847 were here. 1-1 pitch coming up to Kemp. Gorsolani, very deliberate. Fastball pulled foul outside of third. 1-2 the count. Gorsolani, like most left-handers, doesn't throw very hard. By that I mean you're not going to see him throwing in the 90s. That's why a fellow like Hung-Chi Kuo is really different. To be a left-hander and throw as hard as Kuo is really 1 in a million. 1-2 the count to Kemp. Gorsolani comes right back, and this time he works it away, and a 2-ball 2-strike count. Tom Gorsolani, 6'2", 220, a 27-year-old who was born in Illinois, so he's home. Now the 2-2 pitch on the way. Gorsolani ready, and the fastball in on the hands is foul back. He got that fastball up to 92, and it's a 2-ball 2-strike count. Born in Evergreen Park, lives in Orland Park. He went to a junior college that also produced Kirby Puckett to play in the big leagues. Now the 2-2 pitch. Gorsolani delivers low and inside on a check swing. Gorsolani thought he had him struck out and started to walk off the mound. 3-2 the count. That means Furcal will be on the move. Derek Lee comes off the bag, and Andre Ethier waits his turn. Gorsolani hiding the ball back of his left hip. Kemp waiting. Furcal with Lee directly behind him. Raphael goes, and the pitch is a ground ball up the middle. It's a base hit to center, and under a full head of steam, Furcal goes to third. So the Dodgers are not exactly finding Tom Gorsolani much of a mystery. Larry Rothschild will go out and talk to the left-hander, see if he can have a solution. And Andre Ethier, who banged into a force play in the first inning, will be coming up with Manny Ramirez on deck. Andre had a home run last night, knocked in an RBI on a force play thanks to Matt Kemp taking Theriot out of the play. So Andre is hitting .285, 25 home runs, 83 runs batted in. And although we don't really have the numbers handy, it's a pretty good guess to say that Ethier is probably hitting 50 points higher at home at Dodger Stadium than he does on the road. He is only hitting about 200 against left-hand pitching, however, and hits a ground ball to the hole at short. Theriot back to second, and they get the out to end the inning. But the Dodgers, on a walk and a couple of singles, get one, and at the end of 2, Dodgers 2, Cubs 1. They were showing a little highlight tape of Ron Say, the so-called Penguin. Boy, what a ball player he was. And you talk about battling back. You remember that World Series game when Goose Gossage hit him in the head here? Wow. But here's Ryan Theriot hitting .299, and the shortstop takes a strike, and the count 0-1. The batter from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now the strike one pitch on the way to Theriot. Weaver comes right back by way of third, low and inside, 1-1. By the way, you want to talk about the Chicago Cubs and talk about last year. And Lou Piniella made quite an incisive comment when you think about it. Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way, and that's going to hit in the air to right field. Ethier goes back and makes the catch. So one away. And the batter will be Milton Bradley. Last year, the Dodgers never used a left-handed pitcher against the Chicago Cubs. Not even once for one inning. And I'm talking 10 games. The regular season and the postseason play. Now remember, the Dodgers had Joe Beimel, right? Beimel was in 71 games. Did he appear against the Cubs even once? No. Clayton Kershaw made 21 starts last year for the Dodgers. Did he appear against the Cubs? No. Without a left-hander, the Cubs were able to beat the Dodgers 5 of 7, and then they were swept under the rug in postseason. Milton Bradley at the plate, and Weaver delivers just inside. Almost got him. Milton got out of the way. Hit a long fly ball to Matt Kemp in the first inning. So Bradley waiting, 1 ball and 1 strike. Interesting with Bradley going up against Andre Ethier in the series. Milton takes outside. Dodgers had Bradley back in 2004, 2005. Traded him to the A's to get Ethier. Milton hitting .260, 9 home runs, 31 runs batted in. Now the 2-1 pitch on the way. Weaver delivers, check swing, and it's a strike. 2-2 the count. Milton's father, Milton Sr., was a Vietnam veteran who was awarded a Purple Heart. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Weaver comes back, and it's inside and hits Weaver. He hits Bradley, and down to first base goes Bradley. The ball went so far off to the left for a split second you thought it might have hit something hard, but the hard was his back leg. So Bradley hit on the thigh and is awarded first base, and the batter will be Derek Lee. 2-1 in favor of the Dodgers. Bradley has stolen 2, but he's been caught 3 times. And Derek Lee waits, takes the first pitch off the plate, ball 1, 1-0. We were talking before about Derek Lee's heritage. Among other things, his father played 10 years in Japan. Derek grew up over there. Throw to first, high throw, nice pick by Loney. 1 ball and no strikes. Derek was 2 years old when LeRon began to play in Japan, and he attended elementary school in Japan. His youngest sister was born there, and as Derek said, I saw a lot more Japanese baseball than American. He hits one foul off to the right out of play, and a 1 ball 1 strike count. When he finally came back to this country, by this time he loved baseball. He went to Dusty Baker's baseball school in Sacramento. Derek feels that he learned a great deal about how to play this game in Japan. The 1-1 pitch on the way, and it's low, ball 2, 2-1. As he said, he spent a lot of time concentrating on the Japanese players and how selfless and devoted they are to the game. 2-1. Lee waits the 2-1 pitch, and that slides away. Ball 3, 3-1. So Jeff Weaver led 1-0, and Fukudome hit a home run to tie him up. Dodgers then come up with a couple of base hits after a walk to take a 2-1 lead, and Weaver's trying to hold on to it here with Bradley at first and 1 out. The 3-1 pitch on the way, and Lee fouls it back. Big Derek hitting .293, 24 home runs, 83 runs batted in, and he's big, 6'5" and about 245. He was originally a first-round pick by the San Diego Padres. That was 16 years ago. He went to El Camino High School in Sacramento. Now the 3-2 pitch. Bradley goes. Lee hits a ground ball base hit into left field. Bradley just stops at second base. So Derek Lee is single to left. The Cubs are in business. Aramis Ramirez, who popped to short in the second inning, coming up. So Weaver on shaky ground right now as Ramirez checks in. Aramis Ramirez, when he first started to play third base, was a very shaky third baseman, but he wanted to play as well as Scott Rowland at third base. Well, by now he's definitely a Gold Glove candidate, and the first pitch to him is high and away. In 2007, David Wright won the Gold Glove for third base, but Chipper Jones, who has seen a lot of baseball in his day at Atlanta, said he thought Ramirez was a more deserving pick. So he is now settled in and become a solid fixture, hitting .322. He's been out with a bad shoulder, though he has only 10 home runs. Fouls a pitch back, 37 runs batted in. Ramirez is appearing in only his 48th game, so you can well imagine he was sorely missed. Growing up in Santo Domingo in the Dominican, his high school didn't have a team. No baseball. Hard to believe. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 on, 1 out. 2-1 Dodgers in the third. And Weaver delivers, and that's banged into center, base hit. Kemp over to get it on the second hop. Lee is on his way to third, and he is safe at third. Down to second goes Ramirez, and scoring is Bradley. A close play at third, and Derek Lee just did get in there. So again, the Cubs come right back to tie it up. Ramirez a line single to center and takes second on the throw. Very close play at third, but Lee was able to get in there. And alertly, Ramirez then moved to second. So Rick Honeycutt has gone out to talk to Weaver. The Dodgers have 2 runs and 5 hits. The Cubs have 2 runs and 4 hits. So this could be a wild one tonight as Bradley catches his breath, seated alongside Coy Hill in the Cubs dugout. 2-2, top of the third inning. Again, a constant reminder, like the sword of Damocles hanging over the Dodgers. The fact that Colorado already won today. Giants lost, but the Rockies just keep hanging tough. Fukudome, who homered in the second inning, coming up with runners at second and third. And would you believe, of course he is a left-hand batter, they're going to walk him intentionally to pitch to the multi-million-dollar man, Alfonso Soriano. Wow. I mean, remember, Soriano was a guy that hit as many as 46 home runs for the Nationals 3 years ago. He's had 104 RBIs. Of course, at one time, Soriano with the Yankees back in 01, 2, and 3. So Alfonso with the bases loaded, 1 out, 2-2 in the third. Fukudome, Ramirez, and Lee. Soriano popped up in the second inning, hitting only .242. He has 4 grand slams. Slender right-hand batter. He's 6'1", about 180 pounds. Weaver ready. Jeff delivers, and it's hit foul off first. No balls and 1 strike to count. Soriano from a little town in the Dominican, whose main export would be baseball players, San Pedro de Macorís. So standing room only for the Cubs. 1 away, third inning, a 2-2 tie. Weaver ready. Jeff delivers, swung on and missed. 0-2. Soriano was given that incredible contract by the Cubs. He's only been into that contract about 2.5 years, and it's an 8-year deal. No balls and 2 strikes. Weaver set at the belt. Checks, ready, and deal. Swung on and missed. I don't know. Do you think an 8-year deal is counterproductive? Do you think if you sign an 8-year deal and you have a bad at-bat, you're going to sulk? Or is it normal to just say, oh, well, I'll get him next year? Tough thing. It's even tougher for Cub management who paid him all that money. And with 2 down, the batter is Jeff Baker. 2-2 in the third. Baker doubled inside the line in right field. Cubs left him back in the second inning. Weaver set at the belt, comes by way of third, a check swing for a strike, and the count 0-1. In the inning with 1 out, Bradley was hit by a pitch, and Lee singled him to second. Ramirez singled Bradley home. Lee took third. Ramirez took second on the throw. They walked Fukudome in order to get at Soriano, and they struck him out. Now the strike 1 pitch on the way is fouled off. 0-2. Last night, remember, the Cardinals were very tough on themselves. They left 12 men and finally got a man home in the 9th inning to win the game. Bases loaded, 2 out, 0-2 the count to Jeff Baker, hitting .296, 2 home runs, 14 runs batted in. Weaver at the belt, another look. Here he comes, way outside with a breaking ball. 1-2 the count. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Cubs. Weaver making his 7th start as a starting pitcher. His earned run average is just 3. Jeff leaning in to read signs, now straightens up, and the 1-2 pitch to Baker is swung on and missed. So the Cubs had the bases loaded with 1 out. Soriano and Baker each strike out, and at the end of 2.5 innings, a 2-2 tie. Ramirez, Casey Blake, and then Orlando Hudson. Jeff Weaver had to make 28 pitches in the third inning alone. He's made 53 pitches in his 3 innings. Of course, meanwhile, Gorsolani, he has made 48 pitches in 2 innings. So at the rate they're going, of course, neither starting pitcher will be around too long. And Gorsolani ready to pitch to Ramirez, who singled to left field in the first inning. Manny waiting, left-hander into the windup, and the first pitch is lifted to shallow left. Terrio goes out, Soriano comes in, and Terrio makes the catch for the out. Well, Manny doesn't hang around, pops up the first one down, and the batter will be Casey Blake, who hit into a force play in the first inning. Two, bottom of the third. Gorsolani getting the leadoff man, and now the pitch off the plate to Blake. 1 ball and no strikes. Casey batting .278, 14 home runs, 67 runs batted in. Gorsolani's next pitch off speed in for a strike, and the count 1-1. Gorsolani with an occasional fastball that was up to 92. There's another fastball in for a strike. That was, well, they say changeup on the board. Wow. We'll go with them. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Gorsolani back again, and it's swung on and missed, and down goes Casey Blake. So we have 2 out in the third inning, and the batter will be Orlando Hudson. You know, you can join the Dodgers on the road in San Francisco. Travel to the Bay September 11th to the 13th. Watch the Giants and Dodgers at AT&T Park. The package includes tickets to 3 games, a VIP tour, the chance to watch BP while you're on the field. So buy now at Dodgers.com/road trips. We'll give you a number as Orlando swings and misses. You can call 323-224-2646. We're tied at 2, bottom of the third. Orlando takes off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. Hudson grounded to third in the first inning, 0 for 1. Orlando takes very high and outside, ball 2. It's interesting, now they put up on the board fastball 83, yet they've been putting up changeup at 83. Here's the 2-1 pitch, and it's a whack in the air to left center and deep, but Soriano's going to be at the other end of it, and that's that. So the Dodgers go 1-2-3, and at the end of 3, Cubs 2, Dodgers a 2-2 tie. Coy Hill, then Tom Gorsolani, and Ryan Theriot. Off the corner. 1 ball and no strikes to Coy. Out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Coy lives in Lawton, Oklahoma, but he left the state to go to school. He went to Wichita State. And hits it to Orlando. One away in the 4th. Tom Gorsolani coming up. The pitcher swung at the first pitch, grounded to Loney in the 2nd inning. Two runs, 5 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Cubs. That's a strike. Cubs had a golden opportunity in the 3rd inning. Bases loaded with 1 out. Soriano struck out and Baker struck out. Oh, 0-2. Giants lost today. Matt Cain was the starting pitcher and pitched exceptionally well. And then Bob Howry came in. And there was a fellow, I guess, making his major league debut today, Drew Stubbs, playing for Cincinnati. Stubbs struck out all 3 times in the game and then came up against Howry and hit a home run. He had just been called up from AAA, and he beats the Giants 2-1. 2-2. Matt Cain, certainly one of the aces for the Giants, has not won a game in his last 5 starts. Doesn't mean he's lost, but he hasn't won. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 in the 4th. And down goes Gorsolani. Strikeout number 3 for Weaver. And with 2 out, the batter will be Ryan Theriot. Grounded to 3rd, flied to right. Theriot had a nickname in Chicago. Certainly didn't come out here, but they're calling him the Riot. Theriot 5'11", 180. He'll be 30 in December. And a strike. Theriot's another one of those players. His high school athletic director told him he'd never play at the next level because he wasn't drafted out of high school, but he worked hard, got a scholarship at LSU, led them to a national championship. Foul back. They signed him in the 3rd round, did the Cubs, because that year he hit .360 for LSU and was their outstanding player. 0-2. And that's going to hit and backhanded by Loney. That could easily have gone down the line. Instead, a 1-2-3 inning. And at the end, a 3.5, a 2-2 tie. 1948. Went up against the Giants with a team that had won, I think it was like 106 games in 1954. Remember, that was when they played only 154. And Cleveland had a great starting staff, played the Giants, and the Giants swept them in 4. Yep, 1954. And of course, that was the New York Giants. Bottom of the 4th, 2-2. Ball 1 to Loney. At 54 World Series, you see a snippet of it every now and then when they show Willie Mays' catch of a ball hit by Vic Wertz to dead center in the old Polo Grounds. 1 ball and 1 strike. Little ground ball to the right side to Baker. 1 down. You know, friends, tomorrow at 11 a.m. on Prime Ticket, the Think Cure Telethon begins. It's the Dodgers' official charity that benefits 2 hospital partners, Children's Hospital Los Angeles and City of Hope, in their efforts to cure cancer. So it starts at 11 a.m. on Prime Ticket tomorrow, right up to 7 p.m. And we would certainly encourage you, to tune in and, if possible, make a donation. Russell Martin, fly ball to right field. Milton Bradley there for the 2nd out. 2-2 tie. And Jeff Weaver coming up. Dodgers 2 runs, 5 hits. Cubs 2 runs, 4 hits. Weaver sacrificed in the 2nd inning. Dodgers losing 3-2 last night. And remember, they had that marvelous record of 1-run games, but they've now lost 4 straight 1-run games. And in a tough one now. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-1. On deck, Rafael Furcal was 2 for 2. Ball 2, 2-1. Two balls and 2 strikes. Dodgers scored a run in the 1st. Cubs came back to tie. Dodgers scored a run in the 2nd. Cubs came back to tie. Had a big chance to open it up and left the bases loaded. And that'll do it. Weaver strikes out. Dodgers go quietly. That's 7 in a row now retired by Gorsolani. And at the end of 4, Wells and Wolf tomorrow night. Lilly and Hager Saturday afternoon. Dempster and Billingsley Sunday afternoon. The Dodgers then will leave on Monday for a big 3-game series in Colorado. And then they hope not to have a letdown. They'll play Cincinnati and come home to play Arizona and San Diego. Meanwhile, 5th inning, it will be Milton Bradley, Derek Lee, and Aramis Ramirez. Milton Bradley, fly to center, hit by a pitch, scored a run. Little ground ball to Orlando Hudson. So Bradley doesn't hang very long. 1 pitch, 1 out in the 5th. And the batter will be Derek Lee. Cubs had the bases loaded in the 3rd inning. They also had a run over the plate. Dodgers had walked Fukudome to load the bases. They proceeded to strike out Soriano and, for good measure, strike out Baker. Derek Lee hitting .295 and a strike. Fly to left, single to left. When he got that base hit in the 3rd inning, Lee was just 1 for 12 against Weaver. And to the backstop, 1 ball and 1 strike. Aaron Miles, little infielder who played at one time for Colorado. Miles hitting .400 against Weaver. Soriano, who struck out with the bases loaded, was hitting .500 against Weaver when he struck out. Check swing, a look, swing, says Fairchild. 1-2 to Derek Lee. Derek spending about 9 years in Japan. Could he speak the language? Yes, he was pretty good at it. But it's the old story. If you don't use it, you lose it. And once he came back home to the United States, it got away. Just off the plate. Weaver has made 63 pitches in 4 innings. He got Bradley on 1 pitch, and he's 2-2 on Lee. Got him. So that's the thing, really, about the Cubs, and that was the point that Piniella was making, as we mentioned earlier. The Cubs are such a right-handed team. Dodgers never had to use a left-hander, not even against one batter, not 1 inning, not 1 game. And that was in 10 meetings between the two, including postseason. So here's Ramirez. Popped up, singled. His base hit drove in a run. Wonderful player. Missed a good chunk of the year with a bad shoulder. He dislocated his left shoulder, in fact. He dislocated that left shoulder on May the 8th. Ryan Braun had hit a ground ball for Milwaukee. And Ramirez a diving stop and was writhing in pain. 1-2. He was out from the 8th of May through the 6th of July. Another thing about him, he has a lot of power. And he has only struck out 100 times once in his rookie year. 2-2. He's had as many as 38 home runs, 36 home runs. He had 119 runs batted in 3 years ago. And that year he struck out 63 times. So he's tough. 2-2. And lifted to right field. Ethier has a play. 1-2-3 for Jeff Weaver. He's retired 8 in a row since the intentional walk to Fukudome, and it's still 2-2. And Andre Ethier. Remember, the Cubs are here tomorrow night, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. Dodgers then go to Colorado Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then the weekend in Cincinnati and home for Arizona and San Diego. So we certainly hope you make your plans. Join us on TV while we're on the road, and we'll see you back here at Dodger Stadium. For call is 2 for 2. Single to right, single to center. Scored a run. And knocked in a run. Rafael is busy. Started the game hitting .259, but he's back up to .263. Foul the other way, outside of third. 0-2. No balls and 2 strikes. Fouled away. 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Cubs. Half swing and a full strike. So down goes for call on a high fastball that looked like it was out of the zone. 4 strikeouts for Tom Grossolani, and the batter is Matt Kemp. Matt single to right, single to center. 2 for 2. Dodgers have to go to the whip offensively. They've scored 3 runs or less in 5 of the last 7 games they've played, losing each of those 5. And here they are tonight, locked in 2-2. Oh and 1. Off the plate, 1-1 the count. You go back to 2007, and we've talked about how close the Cubs and the Dodgers are in the entire career of each team. Each has beaten the other 1,014 times. If you just go back to 2007, they've split 18. That doesn't include the 3-game sweep postseason. Hopper right at Baker. 2 down. Gorsolani was in all kinds of trouble in the first 2 innings. He is now retired 9 in a row. And here's Andre Ethier, who is 0 for 2. Two in the 5th. Pucadome, Soriano, and Baker due up for the Cubs in the 6th inning. Fastball strike. Consistently hitting 90. I think he had one fastball that was 92. Manny on deck. Breaking ball hit out in front of the plate. Foul ball. It spun off to the left. So Ethier will come back and try it again. No balls and 2 strikes. Coy Hill quick to get it. You know, he's remarkable, is Coy Hill. Tell you why, but at the same time, with 2 out and a 0-2 count, that's a tough time to get into a story. So maybe we'll save it. It's a miracle that he's catching in the big league. Ball 1. Why? Well, he was an aspiring architect, and he was making a window frame for his house, and he had a table saw. He was using that, and the saw got stuck in the wood and managed to cut through his thumb, his pinky finger, his ring finger, and his middle finger. They took him to the emergency room, and a hand specialist reattached all the fingers on his right hand. Can you imagine that? Four fingers were reattached. Wow. Of course, he's also had Tommy John surgery. Yeah. And he had surgery on an ankle. I mean, you want to talk about a kid who has really hung in there. It's Coy Hill. That's fouled away. Honest. He is so tough. When Coy Hill was catching and fractured his ankle, he was in a collision at home plate with Ty Winkington. And I mean, he was knocked from me to you. But he stayed in with the fractured ankle and finished the inning. And my thanks to Andre Ethier for fouling off the pitches and giving me a chance to tell you about Coy Hill. 1-2. Fifth inning, 2 out, 2-2 tie. Curveball, little flare to Terrio, and that's it. 10 in a row. And at the end of 5, a 2-2 tie. Dodgers whomped the Cubs 35 years ago today. Let's go back to this one. Jeff Weaver and Tom Gorsolani in a dandy. And here is Fukudome, who homered in the second inning. Off speed for a strike. Kosuke Fukudome. 0-1. Fukudome with 11 home runs. Last year, all 10 of his home runs were hit against right-hand pitching, and he hit one tonight. Right. One of three boys. "32 years old. A shot right between Weaver's legs. And Fukudome opens up the sixth inning with a single to center. He's bidding for a perfect night. Home run, then the intentional walk, and now the single. And the batter will be Alfonso Soriano. Fukudome has stolen 6 bases, but he's been caught 8. So here is Soriano. Strike. It's a while ago, back in 2001. Soriano was a rookie with the Yankees. He hit a walk-off home run in Game 4 of the ALCS against Seattle. The manager of Seattle that day, Lou Piniella. 1-1. In 2002, Soriano had 51 doubles, the most ever by a Yankee right-hand hitter, and they had some dandies. 1 ball and 1 strike. Off the plate. Interesting too, we're talking about Soriano and Piniella. There's a Dodger connection with Alfonso in the sense his uncle Hilario Soriano was a minor league catcher in the Dodger organization. 2-1. And ball 3. Honeycutt and Torrey watching Weaver's every move, and the Dodgers now get the bullpen in action. It's Belisario up. 3-1 to count to Soriano. Hit .280 last year. And drives one down the left field line, but he pulled it too much. He has 19 home runs, 52 runs batted in, and extraordinarily quick hands. His hands were very evident on that swing. Three and 2 the count. Fukudome at first. And Fukudome goes on a ground ball back at third. Blake's away in time. So Soriano grounds out. Fukudome is now at second. By running him, the Cubs stay out of the double play. And the batter will be Jeff Baker, who doubled to right and struck out. Honeycutt on the phone. And Joe Torre I can't remember the last time Joe Torre went to the mound without a hook, and he has just brought the hook with him again. So with Fukudome at second and one out, right-hand hitting Jeff Baker coming up, and Ronald Belisario will be brought in from the ball game. So Weaver gave it his best shot. He goes out, and we'll be back. Back in the second inning to tie up the game 1-1. Gave him one more home run than he hit all last year. He had 10 last year, and he has 11 this year. Downcast Weaver, who pitched very well, but you can understand why he's downcast. He can't win. He could lose because the runner at second base is his responsibility, and no pitcher likes to leave a win or a loss situation in the hands of another. So Belisario with one out facing Baker. Ground ball, foul, 0-1. Ronald Belisario, a workhorse for the Dodgers. In his 49th game, good ERA 2.2, strikeout to walk ratio 2-1. Jeff Baker trying to pick up Fukudome. His mom graduated from Morehead State, and his dad Larry graduated from West Point. He was born in Bad Kissingen in Germany. Came back, grew up in Virginia, and went to school at Clemson. Jeff Baker. One ball and one strike. Ball two, 2-1. Gorsolani is due to bat after Hill, who's on deck. Though Piniella is thinking about hitting for him if he can really get something going. And Angel Guzman, a right-hander, is down there in the Cub bullpen. 2-1. Little ground ball wide of third. Baker going to be thrown out by Casey Blake, with the runner Fukudome holding at second base. Remember, the Cubs had the bases loaded, one out in the third, and Soriano struck out and Baker struck out. So the batter now is Coy Hill, who was walked intentionally and grounded out. Two in the sixth. Fastball outside. Coy is 30 years old, a solid 6 feet 195. He was a fourth-round pick for the Dodgers 9 years ago. Whoop. Ball 2, 2-0. So Fukudomo, he led off the inning with a base hit, still out there at second base. Hill has been with the Diamondbacks as well as the Cubs. And they're pitching around him apparently. 3-0 the count. Gorsolani is out on deck, but with Guzman in the pen, you'd figure Piniella is thinking hitter. 3-0. And he walked him. So it is the third intentional walk the Dodgers have given up to Hill in the second inning, Fukudome in the third inning, and Hill in the sixth. Aaron Miles had a helmet and a bat in his hands, and Miles will come up and bat for Gorsolani. We mentioned earlier that Aaron Miles has given Jeff Weaver a bad time. He was hitting .400 against him. However, Miles gets into the game after Weaver has left. Miles does not have an at-bat against Belisario, though Weaver is still sweating it out. 2 on, 2 out, 2-2 in the sixth. And a strike. Miles hitting just 182. No home runs. He's not that kind of a hitter anyway. 5 runs batted in. Aaron with the White Sox, then came to the Rockies and the Cardinals. Little ground ball to Orlando Hudson, and that's that. So it's small consolation, but Weaver and Gorsolani will take it. Neither one will be involved in the decision. We have in the first inning, he singled to right. They tried to pick him off, threw the ball away. Raphael moved into second. Kemp then singled, and Raphael took third on the base hit to right. And Ethier hits into a force play. Kemp breaks it up, and Raphael comes home to bring the run in. It's 2-2, bottom of the sixth inning. Manny Ramirez, Casey Blake, and Orlando Hudson against Angel Guzman from Caracas in Venezuela. He was originally signed by the Cubs as a free agent 10 years ago. Finally came up to the Cubs 2006, but he's been up and down every year. This year, he's already been to Peoria, Iowa, and the Cubs. He was originally signed by the Kansas City Royals, but he failed the physical and promptly gives up a base hit to Manny. So Ramirez 2 for 3, single to left, single to center, hit number 6 for the Dodgers. And now Guzman ready to go to work on Casey Blake. He has a younger brother, a pitcher in the Indians organization. Nothing tricky about Guzman. Fastball, curveball, and change. Pretty good sinking fastball, they say. Fastball, nice pick out of the dirt by Coy Hill. They say that Guzman is a fine fielding pitcher, very quick. Two years ago, he joined that select group. He had Tommy John surgery. 1-1. So he had the operation in the middle of October of 2007. He spent most of 2008 rehabbing, and then he was out on the DL June into July this year with a right tricep strain. "27 years old. He'll be 28 in December. 2-1 to Casey, batting .277. He has 14 home runs, 67 runs batted in. Taking a look at Larry Boa because this is the manager's count. Blake has struck out 94 times. Ramirez does not have a stolen base, so that might wreck the whole thought. Yep, it does. And there's a base hit to center instead. So Ramirez stops at second. It was certainly not a good combination to play hit and run, but they did get the hit anyway. So Guzman gives up back-to-back singles. Piniella looking at the lineup card to see just whom the Dodgers can use. Larry Rothschild is also restless, the pitching coach. And Orlando Hudson grounded to third and fly to center. Orlando is 0 for 2, hitting .294, 8 home runs, 57 runs batted in. He came into this game 4 for 10 in the Cardinals series, though he is 4 for 12 during this little homestand. Orlando hitting well over 300, about 330 since the All-Star break. Cubs look bunt. We'll see. Ramirez and Lee ready to pinch in at the corners. He shows bunt and drops it foul. 0-1. Orlando Hudson has a half a dozen sacrifices. No balls, 1 strike. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Another tough one. 2-2. Ramirez and Blake out on the lines. Don Mattingly along with Torrey. Oh, 0-1. Not showing bunt. Now he does. Pokes it up along third. No play at third. He has to go to first. Ramirez had come in, so Ramirez had to holler and point. Don't go to third. I'm not there. So Hudson got the bunt down, and Ramirez had committed. That should have had a play at third, but Ramirez had taken himself out of it. I'm a little surprised that Ramirez committed because we just finished telling you that Guzman is very quick and he's a fine fielder. And if Ramirez Aramis has not committed himself. They would have gotten Manny. So 1 out, runners at second and third. Here's Loney with first base open and Russell Martin on deck, and they're going to walk Loney intentionally. So the Dodgers have given the Cubs 3 intentional walks, and the Cubs return the favor. So in a minute, Russell Martin, who has walked, scored a run, and flied to right, will be coming up. So James Loney get the free ticket. We have a 2-2 tie, bottom of the 6th inning. Dodgers knowing full well Colorado won. The Dodger loss, and their lead would be cut to 2.5. A Dodger win, they remain 3.5 in front. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Ramon Troncoso loosens up. They would bat for Belisario if they get to him. And here comes Russell Martin. Certainly the Cubs are looking for a double play. And in case you wonder, Martin has grounded into 12 double plays. Loney 13. Might surprise you, Andre Ethier leads the Dodgers in grounding into double plays with 18. Juan Pierre comes out on deck. He would bat for Belisario. So Guzman is up to his hips in crocodiles here. Young fella from Caracas. Left-handed John Graybo begins to throw now in the Cub bullpen. Cub infield in double play depth. Ramirez, Blake, and Loney out there. 2-2, bottom of the 6th. Fastball and a high drive into deep left center. She is gone. A grand slammer, and the Dodgers lead 6-2.
Oh yeah! You touched it, baby! You touched him on that right there!
Russell Martin's second grand slam. He hit one against the Pirates in April 2 years ago. His last home run was against Florida, and a grand slam tonight. So the Dodgers break it open 6-2. Now Tony Abreu and not Juan Pierre, and Russell taking a brief curtain call. So Tony Abreu will now bat. Big crowd enjoying the thrill of seeing a grand slam. Not much of a thrill for Angel Guzman. Little ground ball to Baker just in time. Take another look. As soon as he hit it, you knew it, even though it was a mile high, but everybody in the ballpark knew it, including Angel Guzman. A breaking ball, and Russell got all of it. So for Martin, his 4th home run of the year, and he has 38 runs batted in, and the Dodger bench is thrilled. The brief curtain call. Abreu checking in at the plate now as Russell sits back on his laurels. 1 ball and no strikes. So Ramirez singled, Blake singled, Hudson sacrificed. They walked Loney, and boom. Ball 2. On deck, waiting patiently, Matt Kemp. That's a strike. 2-1. Rafael single to right, single to center, struck out. 3-1. So for the Cubs, a bad dream revisited. They beat the Dodgers 5 out of 7 last year during the year, and then lost 3 in a row in the postseason. Wasn't Tom Gorsolani's fault. He went 5, allowed 2, but for Lou Piniella, up jumped the devil. Fouled away. Cubs have lost 7 of the last 10. Dodgers had lost 5 of the last 7. And down goes Rafael, striking out a second time. He's 2 for 4. However, it came too late to help Angel Guzman, as grand slam home run by Russell Martin gives the Dodgers third inning with 1 out, and Soriano struck out and Baker struck out. The Dodgers had the bases loaded in the 6th inning with 1 out, and Russell Martin hit a grand slam home run. Angel Guzman, I'm sure not thinking of any angelic thoughts right about now. And we go to the 7th. It'll be Terrio, Bradley, and Lee facing Ramon Troncoso. Right. Dodgers 6 runs, 8 hits. Cubs 2 runs, 5 hits. Terrio grounded to third, flied to right, grounded to first. Ryan 0 for 3. Curveball 0-2. Terrio hitting .298. 7 home runs, 47 runs batted in. Dodgers split 4 at Wrigley. Now they have 4 here. 1-2. Dodgers led 1-0, 2-1, and now 6-2. Fastball, check swing, 2-2 the count. Cubs began the night 6 games behind the Cardinals and 5 games behind Colorado in the wild card. 2-2. Fastball got him, and he knew it. Terrio frozen at the plate. One out in the 7th inning. And the batter will be Milton Bradley. Troncoso in his 57th game. Good ERA, 2.7. That's fouled away upstairs off to the left. 0-1. Milton batting .259. 9 home runs, 31 runs batted in. Hitting .231 left hand, .330 right. 1-1. Bradley, 31 years old, went to Poly High School in Long Beach. Off the plate, 2-1. Milton was originally signed by the Montreal Expos and made it up to the big leagues with the Expos in 2000. Been up ever since with a lot of different teams. Ball 3. From the Expos, Milton went to the Indians. From the Indians to the Dodgers. From the Dodgers to the A's. From the A's to the Padres. From the Padres to the Rangers. And from the Rangers to the Cubs. And ground ball right at Orlando. 2 down in the 7th inning. And the batter Derek Lee flied to left, single to left, and struck out. Derek Lee batting .294, 24 home runs, 83 runs batted in. And a strike. 0-1. Breaking ball to the backstop. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 out, bases empty. Dodgers had Weaver, then Belisario, and now Troncoso. We're in the 7th. Thanks to Russell Martin's grand slam, Dodgers lead 6-2. One and 1. And ground ball, base hit into right field. So Derek Lee, a 2-out single to right. Derek is 2 for 4. Aramis Ramirez popped up, singled to drive in a run, and flied to right. Cardinals are at it again. That's bad news for the Cubs. Cardinals are beating the Padres 5-1. You know who was very impressive during that Cardinal Dodger series? The Cardinals shortstop, Brendan Ryan, who went to school over at Notre Dame in Sherman Oaks. Well, tonight he's really impressive. Brendan Ryan hit a grand slam home run to give the Cardinals the big lead. Ball 1 to Ramirez. Six runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers, 2 runs, 6 hits for the Cubs. Martin doing a lot of talking and Ramon doing a lot of listening. And maybe they think there's something wrong with him. That's why. So Joe Torre and one of the Dodger trainers heading to the mound. Maybe a blister. You forget, especially with a big leaguer, when that ball comes spinning out of his hand, the friction on the fingertips. Most of it because of the seams on the ball. And unless you're very fortunate, you can develop a blister in a hurry. Some of them bite the bullet, try to keep pitching with the blister, and then it breaks. Of course, Clayton Kershaw and Charlie Hager. Hager throwing knuckleballs. The biggest thing for Charlie would be a hangnail. Hager will be pitching Saturday against Ted Lilly. And Ramon gonna hang in there. Not really sure what it was. He said, let me have one practice pitch. In fact, another. And the plate umpire, Marty Foster, said, okay, you had two, let's go. 1 ball and no strikes to Ramirez. Derek Lee at first with 2 outs. 6-2 Dodgers, 7th inning. 2-0. Ramirez hitting .324. He's a terrific player. 3-0. Fukudome on deck. And a strike. Ramirez 10 home runs, 38 runs batted in. Ground ball for Cole, goes back to get it, and quickly to Hudson. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 left. And at the end of 6.5, it's 6-2 Dodgers. Crowd asked to stand for God Bless.
Welcome back, Elaine Woodard. Elaine is accompanied by Nancy B. on the Dodger Stadium organ.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light up above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the California Lottery's 7th inning stretch. One lucky row of fans will receive Super Lotto Plus vouchers. Good for a Super Lotto.
AT Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. 6-2 in favor of the Dodgers as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. And Matt Kemp checking in now against Esmelin Caridad. And the first pitch off the plate, ball 1. Young fella originally signed a pro contract with Japan's Hiroshima Carp. Made a couple of brief appearances and was assigned to their academy in the Dominican. Misses ball 2. Yep. As the United States began and the ball clubs here opening up academies in the Dominican and throughout Latin America, the Japanese organizations doing the same thing. 2-1 the count to Matt Kemp. Single to right, single to center, popped up. 2-1. Fastball fouled away. Matt Kemp batting .311, 17 home runs, 76 runs batted in. Caridad fastball, curveball, and changeup. Fastball in on the hands at 91. He's pitched briefly last year with Daytona and Tennessee. This year he's been to Iowa and now with the Cubs. Called up from Iowa, he was 5-10 down there. Ground ball foul. Still 2-2. Game 2 of the 4-game series tomorrow night. Randy Wells and Randy Wolf. Saturday afternoon, Ted Lilly and Charlie Hager. And then Sunday, Ryan Dempster and Chad Billingsley. You know, earlier in the game, we were talking about this day in baseball. We were talking about Davey Lopes. 15 total bases, 3 home runs, double and a single. That's a ground ball foul. Something happened 70 years ago that was really amazing. You know, ball players will sit around and talk about all kinds of subjects, and the subject came because Cleveland had 2 catchers, one of whom was really famous, Frankie Pitlack, his name. Down goes Kemp, 1 away. Anyway, the subject was, how high could a ball be hit that you could catch? And they said, well, never mind trying to get somebody to hit a ball high. Tell you what we do, Pitlack was catching for Cleveland. Let's go to the Union Terminal Tower. At the time, the Terminal Tower was the 2nd tallest building in the world. So a couple of guys went up to the top. Frankie Pitlack and another catcher, Hank Hell, were going to catch balls drop from the top of the tower that's estimated 708 feet. Now just think about that. They dropped them. And they caught them to establish a record. I know a couple of years later, the Dodgers were in town, and they had a catcher named Babe Phelps, and they got to talking to Babe Phelps about Frankie Pitlack. And he said, well, I'd like to try that. I could catch that thing. So they said, really? Yeah. Well, what they did, typical Dodgers, they didn't drop a baseball. They dropped a grapefruit. End of story. It was the pits. 1-2. And down goes Andre Ethier. So the last 3 Dodgers in a row have struck out. For call to end the 6th, Kemp and Ethier in the 7th. And here's Manning. Ramirez single to left, fly to left, single to center. He's 2 for 3. Manny hitting .310, 13 home runs, 45 runs batted in. Fastball pulled over third down the line. So Manny is on his way for two. Over to get the ball is Soriano, and Manny is content with a double. So for Ramirez, he goes 3 for 4 tonight. 2 singles and a double just inside the bag. Soriano quick to get it back, and Casey Blake will be coming up. When the Cubs hit in the 8th inning, they'll have Fukudome, Soriano, and Baker. Dodgers have Guillermo Mota throwing in the pen. Casey hitting .279, 14 home runs, 67 runs batted in. Ball 1. Six runs, 9 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 6 hits for the Cubs. One ball and 1 strike. That's on the corner. There were some tough games in Wrigley Field. Randy Wolf beat Randy Welch, and they'll have a rematch tomorrow night. That was 2-1. Ted Lilly, whom we'll also see on Saturday, he beat Billingsley 2-1. There was 1 runaway game, and that's going to be a base hit to cash in Manny. So the Dodgers now take a 7-2 lead. So Casey Blake picks up Ramirez with 2 out, and the Cub bullpen has now given up 5 of the 7 runs. So no relief in sight. Pitch was up. Casey liked it anyway. So Ramirez comes back into the dugout. Dodgers now with 10 hits to go with the 7 runs. And the batter will be Orlando Hudson. Orlando grounded out twice and sacrificed, and the sacrifice was important to be lost in the shuffle, of course. But after back-to-back singles, Orlando sacrificed. That put the Cubs in trouble, 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. So they walked James Loney, only to give up a grand slam to Russell Martin. Check. Of the 4 games at Wrigley, 2 of them were one-sided. Cubs won 7-0, and the Dodgers beat the Cubs 8-2. The other 2 were 2-1. That's a strike. 1 and 2. Last year they split 4 here. Interesting, all the games at Wrigley last year were very tough. 3-1, 3-1, 2-1. And that's going to be hit to center for a base hit. Blake will go to second and hold there. So the Dodgers now 7-11. And that might be all. We'll see. Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, going out there, so probably no hook. Dodgers will have James Loney with 2 on, 1 in, leading 7-2. It was a tough ball game until the Cubs bullpen got in there. Gorsolani had allowed just 2 runs. Weaver had allowed just 2 runs. And then Guzman came in And as far as the Cubs are concerned, he was anything but an angel. Russell Martin hit a grand slam home run against him and broke the game wide open. So Martin waiting on deck as Loney comes up with 2 on, 2 out, and the Dodgers leading comfortably 7-2. That's ball 1. Loney is struck out, grounded out, and walked 0 for 2. Rafael Furcal sitting alongside Manny Ramirez. They always have a lot to say to each other. Offensive players from right to left: Tony Abreu, Rafael Furcal, Manny Ramirez, Juan Castro all the way over on the right. One and 1 to James. Breaking ball missed. Ball 2. 2 and 1. So for the young fellow who signed a pro contract with the Hiroshima Carp, then brought to the Dominican Academy, spotted by the Cubs, being roughed up a little bit here. Double and 2 singles. Fastball lifted to shallow left, coming in as Soriano. So the Dodgers 1 run, 3 hits, they leave 2, and at the end of 7, Dodgers 7, Cubs 2. p.m. in the Think Pure Suite. That's number 221 on the club level at Dodger Stadium. Also during tomorrow night's game, Fernando Valenzuela will take photos with fans for a donation of $100 or more to Think Pure. So what an opportunity to have a picture for a lifetime and make a $100 contribution to the Dodgers' effort for Think Pure. Remember, the Dodger Telethon kicks off tomorrow at 11 a.m. on Prime Ticket. Hope you'll tune in, but more importantly, hope you make a donation. 7-2 in favor of the Dodgers. We're in the 8th inning. Guillermo Mota will be the 4th Dodger pitcher. Weaver, Belisario, Troncoso, and Mota. And Fukudome will start it off. Homered, walked intentionally, and singled. And a strike. Kosuke Fukudome. He is 32 years old, hitting .275, 11 home runs, 45 runs batted in, and 1-1. Fukudome with 10 home runs last year. He now has 11, and he's in a hole, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And probably smokes one to center. So Fukudome bidding for a perfect night. Kosuke has 2 singles, a walk, and a home run. Alfonso Soriano has had a tough night. Popped up in the 2nd inning. Came up with a bases loaded, 1 out in the 3rd, and probably struck out. And then last time up with a runner at first, grounded out. Hitting only .241. Ball 1. Soriano obviously has been a tremendous disappointment to the Cubs and their fans. First year was great. Came over, hit 33 home runs, 70 RBIs, but it's been all downhill since. Hit .280 last year, .241 right now. He's 31. Fukudome at first, nobody out, in the dirt. 2-1 the count. Guillermo Mota picking up for the Dodgers, trying to nail down some innings. Two balls and 1 strike. Both of these fellas involved, Soriano and Mota, are from the same town, San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican. I think the first time we heard of that little town was when Pedro Guerrero came here, I believe. But boy, how many big league players have come from that little town. And now here they are going head to head, Mota and Soriano. Soriano was 31 and Mota is 36. 2-1. Fukudome doesn't figure to do any running. He's also been caught more times than he has succeeded. 6 stolen bases, caught 8 times. Soriano is not only not hitting, he has struck out 113 times. Fouled away, 3-2. You know, when Soriano had his first 2 years with the New York Yankees, he had more hits than any Yankee Hall of Famer except Joe DiMaggio and Earl Coombs. Soriano had 363 hits. What a way to break in. 3-2. And a fly ball to right. Ethier racing over. So 1 out. A disappointed Soriano. Of course, you can imagine how disappointed the Cubs are and management. And the batter now, Jeff Baker. Baker doubled to right. He struck out with the bases loaded and grounded to third. Final score, the Cardinals knocked off the Padres 5-1. Bad news for the Cubs as the Cardinals win their 70th game. Cardinals have won 9 of the last 11 and certainly look like the best team the Dodgers have seen this year. Brendan Ryan, the shortstop from Sherman Oaks, had a grand slam home run in that game. Joel Pinheiro went into the 8th inning, struck out 7, picked up the win. Foul back, 1-2. So the Cubs are in danger of falling 7 games back of the Cardinals. Interesting too, as the Cardinals won that game, Albert Pujols went 0 for 4. No consolation to Lou Piniella. One and two. 2-2. 7 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for the Cubs. The big difference, grand slam home run by Russell Martin in the 6th inning. 2nd slam of his career. Two and 2. Got him inside corner. So Baker is caught looking, strikes out a 2nd time.
Catcher number 55.
And the batter will be Coy Hill. Right in there. Greg Maddux used to say that's the toughest pitch for a right-hand pitcher to make. Throw a strike on the inside corner to a right-hand batter. Well, he just did it. Right. Coy, switch hitting catcher, has been walked twice intentionally and grounded out. Another fine crowd tonight, and why not? Dodgers battling to stay in first place, being challenged by Central Division teams. Tonight, 48,974. And a high fly ball to left. Ramirez has a play. So no runs, 1 hit, a man left, and we're heading to the bottom of the 8th with the Dodgers leading 7-2. in the sixth inning to break a 2-2 tie. Dodgers went on to add another and lead 7-2 as we go to the bottom of the eighth inning. And for the Cubs, they bring in a new pitcher, Kevin Gray. Russell Martin walked and scored a run, flied to right, and then hit the slam. Interesting what will happen as Kevin Gregg comes in. Gregg has had somewhat of a nightmare, a reliever who has given up 12 home runs in 56 innings. Kevin Gregg from Corvallis still lives there, drafted by the A's. 2-0. Right now, he would be on a pace to give up a staggering 17 home runs, and that would be the most in modern bullpen history by a reliever with 20 saves, and Kevin has 23 saves. Foul ball. Interesting too, in talking about relievers, saves, home runs, etc. Only one team, since we have gone into divisions, only one team has won a World Series with a closer anywhere near that gopher ball prone. That was the 1987 Twins. Remember Jeff Reardon? He gave up 14 home runs that year. That'll do it for Martin. And for Russell Martin, as he goes back to the dugout, all he has to do is think that with one swing, he knocked in more runs tonight, 4, than he'd had in his previous 21 games. Over that stretch, he had knocked in 3. So Martin back to the dugout, and here's Guillermo Mota. 7-2 Dodgers, bottom of the 8th. Tomorrow night it'll be a rematch of a brilliant game in Chicago when Randy Wolf outpitched Randy Wells 2-1. And the two Randys will battle it out tomorrow. Randy Wells, waiting for his shot tomorrow, is 9-5 with a good ERA of exactly 3. Meanwhile, 2-1 to count to Guillermo Mota. So Kevin Gregg, he's a big fella. He's 6'6", 235 pounder. His grandparents lived in Glendale. He almost lost the bat. So his mom and dad grew up in Glendale, and let's say between the ages of 8 and 14, he saw a ton of games here at Dodger Stadium. Fastball, slider, and a changeup. Hard worker. And a high fly ball down the right field line. Coming over is Bradley. You know, friends, the Dodgers continue their series with the Cubs this weekend with 2 day games, Saturday and Sunday. And you can save more than 40% off tickets on Saturday and Sunday at Dodgers.com/eSavers. Purchase a preferred field seat for $40 using promo code BILLS58. All right, 2 out in the 8th, and Rafael for call. Single first 2 times up, struck out next 2 times up. 2 for 4, and a strike. legs, strikeout to walk ratios about 2.5 to 1. He has 23 saves, but he has been apparently very wobbly. 0-2 to Furcall. And going foul. Raphael has enough sock to have 6 so far this year. 0-2. Pretty good fastball at 92. A couple of years ago, when Kevin was with the Angels, he was here at Dodger Stadium, and there was a leak in his locker. It ruined his glove. Right now, he forgets about that, sets the Dodgers down 1-2-3, and at the end of 8, Dodgers 7, Cubs 2. Two members of the crowd putting on a show on Diamond Vision. Interesting what the score will do to the atmosphere. Last night there was no laughter in the ballpark. Jake Fox is going to come up and pinch hit. Jake hitting .292, 8 home runs, 32 runs batted in. Guillermo Mota trying to close it up. Ball 1. Jake Fox is out of Indiana. Beech Grove, went to the University of Michigan and lives over in Arizona. Signed with the Cubs 6 years ago. Finally got up for that so-called cup of coffee in 2007. 2-1. You look up to see what position Fox plays. He catches. He also can play first, third, and the outfield. Strike. 2-2. 27 years old. Father was a coach and a former pitcher at Indiana State. Fouled away. So for Guillermo Mota, the chance to close up shop. Weaver went 5 1/3, and Belisario, Troncoso, and Mota. Two and two. Got him. So Fox strikes out as a pinch hitter, and we have 1 out in the 9th inning. And the batter, Ryan Theriot, grounded to third, fly to right, grounded to first, and struck out. 0 for 4. Fouled away. So if you go back to last year, that note we were giving you about the 10 meetings between the Dodgers and the Cubs, and the Dodgers never used a left-hand pitcher. Not Beimel, not Kershaw, not any left-hander. But tomorrow night, the Dodgers will send Randy Wolf out there against Randy Wells. Alfonso Soriano had one golden opportunity to make an effect on the game. Bases loaded back in the 3rd inning, and he struck out against Jeff Weaver. 2-1. On deck, Milton Bradley. (29 years old), Ryan Theriot from Baton Rouge, and a ground ball single up the middle. The Theriot goes 1 for 5, a 1-out single here in the 9th inning to bring up Bradley. Milton Bradley is 0 for 3, flied to center, hit by a pitch, and twice grounded out to Orlando Hudson. Milton, a Los Angeles boy out of Long Beach, would love to finish off the game in fine style. Came in here, 9 home runs, 31 runs batted in. In the last 11 games, he's been hitting the ball very well prior to tonight. But tonight 0 for 3. Fouled away. 0-1. Bradley, throughout his career, has been a .280 hitter. January of this year, he signed a 3-year deal with the Cubs. That's a strike. 0-2. Cubs lose tonight. They will be 3-11 in National League West parks. And as we mentioned, Lou Piniella just thinks the parks in the National League West are too big for a team that's tailor-made for Wrigley Field. Down to second goes Theriot. Defensive indifference, no stolen base. Yeah, it's a different ball game to get out of Wrigley and play in a bigger ballpark. I always felt the Dodgers were at a distinct disadvantage playing in Ebbets Field and then having to play the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. It was a totally different feeling. 2-2. Ronald Belisario was the pitcher of record in the 6th inning when Russell Martin hit the grand slam. The Mota is trying to give Belisario a win. Fouled at the plate. Belisario has a record of 1-3. Mota, meanwhile, if he gets in a lot of trouble, they have George Sherrill up in the pen. Two and two the count to Milton Bradley with Derek Lee on deck. Fastball fouled away. That's a pretty good fastball too with 95. Mota is a big man. He is 6'6", at least 210. I love what he said after he hit Prince Fielder. They said, "Where were you after the game when Fielder wanted to get in the clubhouse?" He said, "I was in the weight room waiting." Fouled away. But he also said, "I don't want to get those guys mad. I might be pitching for Milwaukee next year." I guess he's free agent at the end of this year. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, 9th inning, 7-2 Dodgers. Three and 2. And hit down the left field line, slicing in the corner. Manny Ramirez backhands it, and getting back to second is Terrio. Nice defensive play by Manny Ramirez. And well appreciated by the folks in Mannywood. Tough play. And they show it on the Diamond Vision screen. And the batter now is Derek Lee. Seven runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error for the Cubs. That's a strike to Derek Lee. Lee fly to left, single to left, struck out, single to right. One ball and 1 strike. Game 1 of a 4-game series as Milton Bradley fouls out and winds up going 0 for 4. Two balls and 1 strike. Cubs down to their last out. They'll trail the Cardinals by 7. They will trail the Rockies by 6 in the wild card. So they take a big beating tonight. Fouled away. Randy Wells, Randy Wolf tomorrow night. Ted Lilly, Charlie Hager Saturday afternoon. Crowds reacting to a foul ball. And then Sunday afternoon, Ryan Dempster and Chad Billingsley. Two balls and 2 strikes, and everybody's getting up. Three and 2 to Derek Lee. Aramis Ramirez on deck. Terrio at second, 2 down. And a high fly ball to right. Ethier has a play. He has a ball, and the Dodgers have the win. 7 runs, 11 hits, and no errors for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error for the Cubs. Dodgers now have a slight edge. 5 games played with the Cubs, and the Dodgers won 3 of the 5.